We have to treat people like people. We have to get back to this.
In today's episode, Courtney and I had the pleasure of sitting down with Kathy Como, and Kathy shares her experience of being a business owner, an agency owner over the last 2 years, what she's learned, how she has developed a high-performing team. And what I mean by high-performing, she's got 2 team members each producing almost 100 policies a month per person. And she also goes into why she does what she does and what we as an industry need to be focused on moving forward with the customer. With that being said, let's start the show. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and we have a very special guest with us today, Kathy Como. Kathy, how are you today?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me.
Perfect. Well, Kathy, so you've been in the business now for about 2 years, and this is your first business ownership entrepreneur. So I would love for you just to talk about the last 2 years because you've been crushing it. But I'd love to hear about your experience and what you learned in this short time frame of being a business owner and entrepreneur.
All right. Well, happy to jump into that. And so I knew that I wanted to do something different about 3 years ago. I had outgrown the walls of my current space I was in the job I was working at. But I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, except that it was 3 things. One, I still wanted to work with customers. I really enjoy the customer experience. All of my professional background has been in serving and supporting customers, and that's important to me. The other thing is I wanted to have something that would challenge me intellectually, keep me sharp, allow me to solve problems, and really challenge myself in that way. And then the last thing is I wanted an opportunity to do something that would allow me to travel. I love to RV locally in my state, and the opportunity to be able to do that throughout the country is exciting. And even though we haven't quite gotten there, we've only dabbled in it a little bit, it is something in the future that I would like to do. So I knew somebody that was an agent in State Farm, my own agent actually, and picked her brain a little bit about what it looked like to be an agent. And I thought all agents worked as an employee of the organization, and that's all I've ever done. I worked as an employee for organizations. So when she told me it was structured in the way that we're independent contractors, meaning we're our own business people, I was like, ooh, I don't know about that. Like, that feels risky. Like, I'm used to getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, same amount. So, but it gave me time throughout the process to reflect, really talked about the growth and the opportunity, and it stretched me. So I took the chance, and the opportunity, actually 2 opportunities were presented to me. One in the town that I grew up in, or the city I grew up in, and it just felt natural. Felt like the greatest fit for me to be in the area I grew up in, and to be able to serve and support the community that I'm familiar with, and to have the values of the organization that I represent also very much align with mine. And I started the foundation of my agency with those values, and they still hold true today.
Yeah. So, I think it's really common to be scared going into owning your own business when you have the security of that paycheck before. So what?
My belly tightened when she said that, because I was like, oh girl, I 100% remember that feeling.
Yes.
And I don't know that it ever goes away.
I was going to say, I don't, because we've now opened 5 different businesses, and it's like every time we open a business, it's still the same weird,
it gets bigger
gut
too.
Feeling that's like, oh my gosh, what are we doing?
The risk, there's more on the table. And they were
That's
like,
right.
oh, okay, here we go.
So what if?
Well, it did. I was going to say it does help. It challenges that skill set. It's like you're flexing this muscle of calculated risk, and knowing that there's a beauty in that too. Like, it's exciting to see the outcome of that decision, but then you're also there could be high stakes for that decision. So balancing that. And I have found throughout the last couple of years that it's been easier to take those calculated risks, and it's been easier to trust me and my abilities and put faith and trust in the team members' abilities and know that success can be realized as a result of making these decisions. So think about all of like those manifestations you see in those inspiring posts. It's like, you'll only regret, that you didn't do this sooner, and all of that. It resonates with me, and I realize, okay, that's me. I did it, and I'm enjoying the journey every step of the way, every day of my life.
Yep. Yeah, there is something about those Pinterest quotes. They might not have a lot of depth, but they do hit on the point sometimes, and some of them are great.
They do have depth. I disagree. They have depth. I'm telling you. I do. Well, you guys probably know Motivation Monday and Fantastic Friday. There is going to be a post. There's going to be something out there from me that I'm feeling in the moment, or I think maybe somebody that I'm interacting with is feeling, and put something out there in Instagram, on Facebook, share it to the personal page, on the business page, and that resonates with people. It keeps us real. We're all human beings trying to fight the good fight.
Oh, I see you on LinkedIn posting those. I see that.
I want to go back to when you started, because you said something about the gap essentially of getting into it and having that fear and feeling like, oh, this is really risky. At what point, do you remember a certain point in your career where you were like, oh, this was all worth it?
I kind of felt like it was before I even opened the doors. Like, there's just something about the process of when your foundation is firm, like what you're like a business foundation, or maybe what you're representing is so closely tied to what you strongly believe in. Like, I kind of already knew that right from the get-go. And that for me is how I make my business decisions as well. There's 4 things that we, have as an agency, as core values, and that's how we make our business decisions, how I hire, how I terminate, how we motivate and succeed. So I kind of knew that at the beginning. Financially, yeah, I had to be smart. I'm super frugal, so I was like, okay, pay myself modestly, make sure I'm investing in the business, track, my earnings. But I was a little worried when it came around to, oh gosh, we got to pay the taxes, and we've got to, how do we do this? So I learned from some business folks as well how to structure that ahead of time with different accounts for tax savings. Your throughput, pay all your bills, your personal account to pay yourself personally, and then psychologically, there's something really cool about having an account that says profit. Mm-hmm. And so I have a profit account. So tuck things over there when I can, and know that, at the end of the day, it's all profit if you don't spend it, but it is very nice to see things in that account. It makes me feel good. And I obviously can use that to invest in the business as well.
That's smart.
So good.
Or go on a trip or do something fun.
Yeah. No. That's so good. So you have control of you know exactly where your money's going. It feels like every month, which is great. So Kathy, I would love to know, while this is fresh on your mind, you're 2 years in.
Time out before we go there.
What's up?
I need to know what the 4 core values are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go there. So the core values of the organization is to be customer focused. So we are in business because of our customers, not in spite of them. So everything we do is because of them and for them. We're team centric. So I know there's a lot of hype around being team oriented, but for us, it's team centric, but you have to carry your water pails. You have to have an individual contribution. So team structure dynamic is hyper critical for me. That's number 2. Third thing is that we're problem solvers. We're solving the problems that customers put in front of us, or maybe we have internally, but we also are trying to uncover the problems that the customers don't know that they have, like the need for life insurance, or all the pivot opportunities, right, that are out there. And then last but not least, we're fair and trustworthy. It's hard to build trust, especially in an industry that might have preconceived notions or stigmas. So, and very easy to lose it. So those are the things that our foundation that we stand upon.
Yes, so good. All right, now take it away.
Those are fantastic.
I couldn't let that go. I'm like, no, I need to know.
Girl, thanks for bringing those up.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
And they mean a lot to us too.
Yeah.
And you can tell because you I mean, you're just like bam, bam, bam. Like, I appreciate you sharing those. That was great. So now can we get to my question?
Finally.
All right.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, Kathy. So 2 years in, I'm sure you came into the business. We always come in with a business plan. And like Mike Tyson says, like everyone has a great plan until they get hit in the face. All right. And I feel like entrepreneurship, you get hit in the face a lot. So I would love to know over the last 2 years, maybe the one or two things that stick out to you that, man, I've had to change this, or maybe not go back and do it differently, but this is what I've learned and had to adapt to going forward that has made me a better business owner or entrepreneur, insurance agent.
Yeah. I think, yes, a business plan was developed. Fortunately, I had a background in strategic business planning, operations management, managing teams. Like that's what I brought to the table. I didn't know anything about insurance other than being a customer. So I already knew about having a plan operationally, being efficient and those sorts of things, which is really thank goodness for that, because it's really led to our success. So the business plan was drafted, didn't really know much about anything in the insurance space, but I knew that I wanted to review it quarterly, make notes on it, do an annual strategic session day with my team. And I've held 2 now, because my first anniversary, I did one last August, did one just this past month. And it allows us to revisit the business plan and talk about what's working and what's not working. What are our big, huge goals? And then this year we had, whether it be growth and retention, because we know in the space that we're in, retention is going to be super huge. So we need to make sure that we've got the right processes in place for that. So the plan is kind of it's not carved in stone. It is an evolving plan, and we touch it and feel it and make it come alive for us in the space. As far as maybe things that surprised me or that I adjusted, I just made it more of a narrow focus. I felt like we were talking like lots of different categories. I didn't necessarily need to look at, into the fine details of all of the marketing pieces or all of like the operational pieces. Like the system gives us so much. The social media, don't overthink it, right? So there's just some things about it that I think I gave a lot more detail to that I didn't necessarily need to give the detail to.
So you do a session plan on your anniversary. Do you do another one at the end of the year, or is that when you're doing essentially like you're planning for the next year?
Well, I feel like it aligns nicely. It's the anniversary. I opened up in August, so it works well. It's summertime for us, so we usually do an event after. We did a volunteer event this year, but we do an event in the afternoon. But what I like about that August, September is that we can talk about what's going well. We can talk about our goals for next year. It's still far enough in advance of the next calendar year, and then in a couple of months I'll be able to take those ideas and put them into the financial business plan, and then back into all of my goals that I want to achieve. Like we want to achieve this huge goal, and then how do I break it down so that I'm doing 1 a week, 2 a week, 3 a day, right? 3 a day. So things like that.
So, and let's talk about that a little bit, because you have a unique goal achievement approach and process that you do. So kind of walk us through how you do come up with those big goals and then work yourself back into it to make sure you achieve it.
Well, it kind of can be daunting, right, to have these huge goals. We were talking a little bit about that earlier, and it's hard to necessarily see the finish line or what that looks like, or that it's even doable. And I psych myself out, or I temper myself and say, well, I'll do this first, and then maybe next year I'll do this. So I don't think I was giving myself credit to think big enough and trust myself to say, I really can do this. Like if there's a will, there's a way, right? So I feel like for us, we're kind of like power walkers. So we say it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? That's a phrase that everybody uses. And I would even argue that it's not even really a marathon, because how often do you do a marathon? Like I'll never do a marathon probably, but somebody might do a marathon like once every couple of years. Like, I don't know. And you can't do this if you're sprinting, right? We all know, like, if you do that, you're going to get burnt out, you're going to get tired. But I feel like our team is like a serious bunch of power walkers, because think about that. Over time, the days, the weeks, the month, a power walker's consistent.
Yep.
They're disciplined. They're small achievements each time, but but think about it. Picture your power walkers out in the neighborhood. Like, they're tried and true, they're doing the thing. And
they are getting after it.
And they do it forever. There's no age limit
on it.
That's
what I'm saying. So it's a lifetime, right? So think about that. It's a lifetime thing. If you're a power, that's what you do. It's your fitness. It's fun. You get out, but it's also, like, I think an analogy to, like, career, right? Career, steady, steady, steady. And yes, you're going to have, like, you're going to need to run away from a dog, or you're going to have, like, these moments there, or you're going to slow down and you're going to talk to somebody because they tug your ear. So then maybe you slow down a bit. But the idea about the goal achievement is that you have a overarching goal of good health, good fitness, whatever, good psyche, whatever it is that makes you power walk, right? That's kind of like our business. Like, we want to do good for our community. We want to have, consistent growth. We want to feel good about our contributions. We want to feel good inside. Like, all of this I feel like, aligns with this whole power walker mentality. Well, that's kind of where the goals come from too. Like, they're going to lose 1 pound a week, or they're going to maintain weight. Well, that's what I do with this business. Like, we want to grow, but we want to grow at a really steady pace. So we have monthly goals and we have weekly goals. Like, Google review is a good example. We were thinking that we wanted to get 100 Google reviews, and then we realized, if we get just like 1 a week, like, we could hit our goal. So we're at 90. Our goal was to get 100 by the end of the year. We got 90.
Let's go.
We had 4 last week alone. That was awesome. So yeah, and then we have a board. We check it off the board. We talk about it at our huddle. Every day we do a huddle. So you're breaking it down. 2 life a week, 2 life submissions. If you think on average that, obviously not all of them will get approved, but that's over 100 submitted a year. Let's say 80 of them issue. Bam, there you go. So you just got to break it down and then talk to the team and where are we at and check it off and move on. And then all of a sudden we're like, well, shit, we're doing some good stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
And we track it. We track it. Like, I track it every day. My board has it. We huddle every day. We talk about where we're at. Like, I do have my finger on the pulse when it comes to that.
You brought something up. So this is, now I have this vision of the power walkers carrying their water pails. Like, they're like getting after it. So especially in this market, I want to know, how are you keeping your team motivated with everything that's going on with rate changes? Customers are pissed. How are you keeping them motivated to continue to carry their water pails, to continue to show up and do so? Because I know your team. Hi, Amy. I know your team, and they show up in a way that they're excited, they're inspired, they genuinely want to help. What are you doing as a leader to continue to fuel that fire?
That's a great question. I feel like motivation is kind of like empowerment. You can't bestow empowerment on somebody. A person has to just feel it. Motivation, I don't think I can, kind of bestow upon somebody. You just have to feel it. What I feel that we do here is create an environment where it brings it out. Like, I've worked hard to remove the roadblocks to their success. That's my role as a leader. Give them the opportunity to know what the goal is. What are we looking to accomplish today? Celebrate the wins, and everything's a win. Even a learning from a really crappy conversation is a win. You mentioned, difficult conversations, maybe around rate or upset customers. We have to just kind of go back to that and say, where did we miss? That customer was upset because they didn't like their rate change, or they decided to leave us over price. Where did we miss the opportunity to build that connection, to build that relationship? Because I think that that's the most satisfying part of what we do, is the relationships that we get to build with customers, and really talk about, like, last week I had 17 customer appointments and I was like exhausted. Friday I was like, my glass of wine is calling my name. Oh, I couldn't wait. So, but I was talking to the team and I thought, my God, I heard heartwarming stories, heartbreaking stories, like unique stories, like, skiers that are going to be Olympic skiers. Like, you don't hear those stories every day, and the team talks about those. And I think that a lot of motivation comes with just remembering that we're truly in the business of getting to know people. they are human beings. Like they are people at the end of the day. They have trials and tribulations just like us, and we remind ourselves too, sometimes we're the only person that they get to talk to. Or we have a gentleman that comes in on Wednesdays when I bring Emmy Lou, my pup, and so he'll only come in on a Wednesday to pay his bill because he knows he's going to see Emmy, and I don't know that he's going to see anybody else that day, fixed income and all of that. So talking about motivation, I mean, when you're making a difference, and you have to think about this, you have to have conscientious effort, because the rate increases or the service tasks or, oh my God, this didn't get through underwriting or blah, blah, blah. That can override you if you don't just pause and say, we really make a difference in people's lives, and know that we are, like, that's the fuel that keeps us going, is really knowing that. And we're doing it for tons of people, which is, again, rewarding on the other side, right? We celebrate the hell out of that. I don't know if hopefully that answers your question.
You're cutting to the core. Yes, yeah. That absolutely answers the question. You're cutting to the core of the issue, that we are in the people business, regardless of if it's team, customer, or ourselves, that we're talking to human beings. So thank you.
Yeah, what I just heard right there is you are establishing genuine connection with your team, with your community, with your customers. And I know that sometimes that was overlooked when I very first started the insurance business, because we were so laser focused on grow that our current customers, I felt like, got left behind. And so even though the trend in the insurance industry has been transactional, all right, get them in, get on to the next sell, you're actually taking a step back and getting to the true core reason why you're even in business as an insurance professional, and that's taking care of your customers and your people. And you're setting yourself up for a very successful future and career, because that's exactly what customers are wanting. That's what they're needing. They want a mentor. They want a leader. They want that go-to insurance professional.
We're getting a lot of validation in holding our welcome appointments or ongoing regular reviews. Some of the touch points are simple. Some of them are more complex, like I mentioned, like my last week. But we know we're hitting the mark because people are saying, I haven't had this experience before. I'm so glad I have somebody, that's a local in here. And where we're at is very centrally located in the state. I think, too, the fact that I worked in two different industries prior, my career, very loyal, many years with one company, many years with another, and they're both, quote unquote, commodity-based businesses. So building relationships with you or your company, like, you had to make those touch points really work for you. Because at the end of the day, it grows loyalty. It establishes loyalty. You're putting that emotional change in their pocket. It's like they stay with you longer, even when you have a moment you kind of trip a little bit, or they have a little bit of an increase. And when we're proactive with calling on the increases, guys, I was like, oh my gosh, I know I should do this, but I don't know that I want to do this. And when my first touch point with a rate increase, and I reached out and said, hey, we're contacting customers that might have a difference in their premium with their upcoming renewal, so you can get ahead of it. It's also an opportunity for us to look at your policy and discounts, right? All of that. I cross-sold, not intentionally. Like, I didn't. It was just about uncovering needs and having the conversation. And we didn't have his house. He was an established, customer from the book. Now we have his life insurance. So just these these touch points, just in the short amount of time of 2 years, we've been able to establish this relationship. And I'll never forget that, because I did not want to have that call. And he was like, I appreciate you calling me and letting me know that, It's definitely worth it. It scores points. It means a lot to people. And even if you didn't make any changes in the policy, if you did nothing at all, just to get ahead of it, put yourself in those shoes. Wouldn't you want somebody to call? And I joke, I'm like, so-and-so ain't calling you from that 1-800 number, to make this call. The electric company isn't calling you about this, because we're having electric, power company rate increases, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I'm like, I am. We're making this call. I said, so hopefully you remember that. We're here for you no matter what. So
I could slap the table right now. I'm so excited to hear this, because we have to give a shit. Like the more we care and treat people like human beings, the more they will treat us like human beings. And we move away from the stigma of being sleazy salespeople and actually creating human connection.
Yep. And you're being proactive versus reactive. And what you're talking about right now is always it's not an argument, but it's definitely something that's debatable, because some agents that have been in the industry for a long time, they're like, don't call anybody.
Yeah,
you're getting a rate increase. You're getting a pay increase anyways. Who cares? Like, why would you bring up problems? But I love the approach you're taking of, hey, I would want to know this, and I'm going to deliver the same experience that I would want to my customers. And that is powerful in itself. I love that approach.
I could slap the table. I'm so excited because we're human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we really want to insulate our book of business, if we really want higher retention, if we want referrals, we have to treat people like people. We have to get back to this. Because it's such a transactional model right now where it's just like, get them in, get them out. Let's go.
And it's not the agent's fault. It's what the carriers have pushed over the last decade and a half.
Well, I think too, I think going back to that motivational piece with the team, and we talk about burnout, and you guys had said something in one of your trainings, like when we first signed up for Weaver Sales Academy, and it was, you can be busy and burnt out or productive and fulfilled. And I was like, that hit home for me, because truthfully, we were kind of maybe a year in. I can't remember the exact line in the sand. And in my mind, I was going, everybody talks about burnout. Everybody talks about burnout. And I was talking to the team a little bit about Amy, right? She's been with me since almost day one. And I said, when am I going to feel this like burnout that everybody's talking about? And you had made that comment. And I was like, that's it. It's because I'm feeling really fulfilled. I'm feeling very productive, and I'm feeling very fulfilled. And that goes back to motivating. That's what makes us kind of get up and keep going, coming in, right? And supporting and serving our customers, new and existing, because we feel really fulfilled by that. So that's, I think, and then continuing the relationships, because then they become easier, right? The more that we get to know people and connect, you can have fun and, or ask about somebody in their family or what's going on with their job. Like then it just becomes truly enjoyable, and you're not just, breaking ground every single conversation to find out, what's their spouse's name and what's their kids, all of that. Like you're really, really forming those connections and building those bridges.
Yeah.
So here's what's I think is amazing. As a 2-year business owner, you're starting with the end in mind, and you are doing the work now to set yourself up for wild, amazing success in the future, so that you can have the business you want. Because I only know this because we work with you all, but it's not like you're just servicing your current customers and not crushing it on the new business side of things as well. I mean, you have 2 sales producers, yourself, and you all are putting up consistently somewhere between 160, 170 and 200 policies a month, every single month. Like, you're crushing it. So,
and the office is fun. Like, you guys genuinely are having a good time.
Yeah.
So I would love to know what you think and it's a lot with your leadership and mindset is what I would believe, but how are you doing both? Because I think that's where a lot of agents struggle. Like, oh, if I provide great customer service, then new production's going to go down. Or if I'm producing crazy, then lapse can's going to go up. So how are you managing that as the business owner?
That's an excellent question. We took on an existing book, so we had some to play with. We were already setting up appointments. That's actually how Amy came about. I was looking for a 90-day person to call the existing book, set up appointments, and that was it. Like, that was Amy's going to come into the business and exit the business. That was it. Thank goodness she caught the bug and she's with me now. But we also we set this cadence of consistency. And I know we joke about consistency isn't sexy, but truthfully, it is absolutely where it's at. So we're starting the 2nd of the month and we have so much already written, but not issued, that we never feel like that intense pressure of a clean slate and we're starting fresh, starting new. So I think that also lets us relax. So we can truly just have the conversation. We know we're going to get some no's, but we can just go ahead and have the conversations. I talk to, other agents or team members, and they're like, it's like they're so nervous about hitting a level or a limit, or, and that's not a space I want to operate from. I just want the conversations to be real and genuine. We even in our office, like sometimes they'll get a call and be like, you take this one. No, you take this one. Like there's such a great team back and forth because no one's feeling that scarcity. We're feeling the abundance. We're feeling, the opportunities are there. And I don't care that they're internet leads. I don't care that they're referrals or some of the network hot listers, right? I mean, we love more of that and we're getting more of that. When somebody says they read about us, they read our Google reviews like that, that's makes me so incredibly, motivated and just, keep that juice flowing. So we put up the numbers. Sometimes, like Emma said, she was at 82 this month. She didn't realize she was so close to Individual Century Club, right? Yeah. Amy, I think, was like 86 or something like that. So it's like, holy crap, these team members are doing it. You want to know how much I produced? Not much, very little, because I'm removing the roadblocks. Like I will do a lot more of the service. I like the claims, not that they won't, but I try to take those things. And we are going to be looking where we haven't found the right fit. We're struggling with getting that extra component to our team. And we do have a remote part-time person that I like. Props to Brittany. I got to give her a shout out here in this space because she's doing great in Alabama and supporting me part-time. So yeah, to answer your question, how do we do both? I don't know. You just kind of normalize the excellence and keep on rocking.
I think that comes back to you, though, as a leader, because you control the cadence of it. So if you come in and you go, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to produce this, and then that becomes the energy that everyone adapts to.
Oh, and we're going to change the whole process, and we're going to try something new for 3 weeks, and then we're going to change it again.
Do this. Why aren't you doing this? Versus if
I think he's taking a shot at you, Courtney.
No. I
am amped up.
Kathy's trying to get me in trouble right now. No.
You bring up a good point, though. As a person, I'm a creature of habit. I am a very habitual person. I am up at the same time. I have the same routine. I come into work. I do the same routine. I get ready for the day. Actually, get a little bit. When I'm off, my routine's off. It's like okay, but I'm very reliable and predictable. So the team knows when they come in, they are going to get what they get. Like you guys see that this is what you get all the time. And I don't know, yes, we have outside influences. Yes, we have distractions that occur. That's there, but I think that's really good for a leader. If you think about the very best people that influence you, like they are very consistent. You don't know that they're not moody. They're not, you don't have to worry. They give you this, hopefully, a space of safety to be able to bring anything to them without fear of worry about how that person's going to react. Like I have worked very hard to create those relationships where people feel that they can be vulnerable no matter the circumstance. And I feel it in the team that I have now. I felt it in prior teams. Those are the best working environments to be in.
Now, it's funny you said that because Courtney is definitely much like a jet ski and I'm more like the barge for sure. But don't
be mad that I have more energy.
You do. Okay? But so many of us.
But it is a compounding effect.
Well, it is a compounding effect. And so many of us as business owners, like, we'll hear a good idea or we go to a workshop or we go to a conference and it's like, oh, we need to change the whole process. Oh, it doesn't work. Let's go back. And you're not doing that. You have consistent processes you're doing, you're changing, you're adapting, but you're getting better too. So I just want to talk about this before we conclude is you've got two producers that are almost consistent Century Club producers. Right? That's impressive. What do you see them do, or how are you helping set them up for success to make sure that they do consistently produce that 80 to 100 or more a month per person?
Well, I think that it starts with that cadence of how you start the day. Like we start our day at 8. We do a huddle. So when we do our huddle, we get together in person, or if somebody's, remote, we'll do it through the phone, but we report out on what we accomplished the prior day. So submissions, quotes, calls, life pivots, health pivots, and then what's our plan for today. And so I think that creates a level of accountability, and also, again, goes to that routine. Like when we don't do a huddle, if I'm even on vacation, depending on the situation, dialed in, let's do a huddle. It was more like a motivational, huddle in that regard, but just trying to have that connection, that touch point. But again, that just creates this routine of, we're going to report out, this is where we're at. They already know on the board. Again, I did my routine before they came in. And so I think, we're consistent. I mean, yes, we have a fun environment, but we're not fooling around. I mean, we just enjoy making the calls, or we're, processing the leads. We're taking inbound calls, and, we're also pivoting a lot. I actually had somebody reach out because we were using the multi-line marketing source a significant amount. And they're like, well, what gives? And so I'm like, well, truly, we're multi-lining. Like, we're asking people all the time. So we create those opportunities for, extra fire policies like personal articles. And we have a lot of recreational vehicles and things like that, because we're having the conversations. We're talking to people, or they'll drop a seed and like, hey, we can help with that. We can do that. So I just think if you just pay attention and have the conversations, the policies just come. Some of them are harder, right? The financial services we're continuing to work on. We're practicing overcoming the objections, and having more successful conversations there, more meaningful conversations, asking, not telling is not selling. So we're trying to remember that, because we're kind of bad at that. I don't know. I wish I had, like, we've said it before. There's no silver bullet. There's no secret sauce, right? To use some of your phrasing, it's just we're consistent. We ask, we move on from the no's, or work through the no's, celebrate the heck out of the yeses. We're in teams. We're always, posting, and we kind of joke because we've had a little play on words for even submitting, raw new auto rather, and fire. We have a little Mainer accent on our fire when we put it in, and we have the fun, raw, because we got a raw new auto. So it's just, we have fun in our space, and I said it earlier, but we just really tried to normalize, having really consistent, excellent performance day in and day out.
Yep. So good. And I know you guys are also training every single day. So
yeah, we're really hyper engaged in your program. So thank you for that. We take a lot out of it.
No, for sure. So, and we appreciate you, Kathy. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you, follow you, support you, what is the easiest way for them to do that?
Lots of different ways. I am on LinkedIn. I do a lot of LinkedIn perusing first thing in the morning at 5 a.m. So that's where you'll find me. I also am on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. So you can find me at Kathy Como. And then, of course, if you're in the State Farm space, you can email or Teams me, and I'd be happy to help.
Kathy, I love following you on social media because you are an RVer and you have the cutest dogs. So thank you for brightening my social media. Always.
You have any trips planned in the RV?
We'll probably get one more trip in this season, and before we have to winterize her and put her up for the season. But we did go to Tennessee this past year, so that was a nice road trip. And I don't know, next year is to be determined, so we'll see.
Have you named her? Does she have a name?
Well, we tried, or I tried. So my husband's last name is Martin, so we did say mainly Martins, right? The state of Maine. So mainly Martins is kind of our Instagram. And then I was trying to say Mo, but I don't know, because it's a momentum, Grand Design Momentum, but I don't know. It just hasn't.
She's going to get
hasn't connected quite yet.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I can't wait.
Those Grand Designs are nice.
Oh,
I didn't know it was a Grand Design. Those things are nice.
Podcast just for our RVs.
Love it. Yes. I love it.
Well, Kathy,
thank you so much. This has been so much fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for all of those of you listening and supporting us, thank you so much. We appreciate you. As always, time is the most valuable and important asset that we all have. Appreciate you spending time with us today. Go out and make it great. Kathy, thank you again.